Donald Trump is going to be your next president. It's 12:43 a.m. here in Los Angeles, California, meaning that it's almost 4 a.m. On the East Coast. I have CNN to my right. They have not called the election. As of right now, 3:43 a.m. Eastern Time. It's saying Harris 205, Trump 266, but the writing is on the wall. It's pretty clear that Donald Trump is going to be your 47th President of the United States of America. And I have a couple of thoughts. First and foremost, we're going to be fine as a nation. We are going to be okay. Half of the country is hurting. Half the country is extremely hurt right now. The other half are excited, jubilant, celebrating. But let's talk about the half that is hurting. I want you to know that when things happen and it doesn't go when things don't go the way that we want it to go, and we get emotional about things, it's hard to see things for exactly how they are. So if something is amazing, we can't see how good it is. If something is awful, we probably cannot gauge how bad that thing is. So it's tough to have perspective when you're hurt. But if you are a Democrat, if you're Team Harris, all of your feelings are valid. All of your feelings are valid. And as a mental health professional, we have the responsibility of caring for everybody. We care for black, white, gay, straight, trans, whatever your orientation is, however you identify. It's our job to take care of you and provide the most outstanding care. And that's something I've done throughout my career. And if you're not familiar with who I am, I should have introduced myself in the beginning. But my name is Coder Sarfo. I'm a comedian, actor, and writer. Originally a doctorally prepared mental health nurse practitioner. The majority of my years of experience have come working in the psychiatric hospital, inpatient. I still do outpatient too, but my love is inpatient psychiatry. That's my love. And I've learned a lot working in the psychiatric hospital and just in life in general. And I try and teach these lessons to people online, and I felt like it was important to come and talk. And this is probably the latest video I've ever made, but to talk to everybody in general, because when it comes to mental health in this country, in America, we're at a crossroads. And this has been an awkward year. It's been a bizarre year. I don't think any election year is the most fun, but it's been a difficult year. I don't know if you all feel the same way. You know, talking with family members and friends, and you know, if you're blue, if you're red, I felt there's been a division, and I felt it this year more than any other year, more than 2020, more than 2016. There's been a clear division this year, but what is evident is that more than half the country actually voted for Donald Trump. This was not close victory. It's pretty evident that the people have spoken. That's going to be our next president. I remember I made a post on Instagram a couple of months ago when Joe Biden dropped out of the race. I went ahead and I thanked him for the opportunity to be a White House roundtable member. I've been working with the White House for two and a half years. It's kind of fuzzy. But getting to work with the White House has been one of the most amazing experiences of my life. For them to have me come out to Washington, D.C. And be a part of, you know, a mental health talk and see what's going on there and then bring that back to my community, it means a lot, because I bust my butt to make these videos here in Los Angeles and to use the acting skits and the comedy to promote mental health awareness. So the fact that the White House, of all people, you know, or all, you know, establishments would recognize the work that we put in Los Angeles and have us come out to Washington, D.C., it meant a lot to me. That's the only political post I've made all year. I made that post a couple of months back just thanking President Biden for the opportunity. And I remember in that Instagram post, I might have it, on the screen as well. But I remember in that Instagram post, I went ahead and said, regardless of who wins the election, as a country, we need to come together and support that person. That person is Donald J. Trump, and that's who we should come together to support. When I made that post, I had people in the comment section saying things like, first of all, people headline read. So people didn't even see all of what I wrote. People just saw a picture of Joe Biden there, and half the people in the comments were saying, do you know what Biden has done for this country, blah, 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 he's made everything so bad. And the other half was saying, oh, so you want Donald Trump to be president? Which is why I stay away from politics in general, because it's very difficult to have a level-headed and and a rational conversation when it comes to these things. And as a full-time content creator for the past 5 years, I always like to say that in my comment section, we have Republicans and Democrats kissing, because we don't worry about our differences. We come together to this platform because we care about mental health awareness and we care about making ourselves better. But when I made that post, I realized it confirmed what I thought about this year, that this is going to be one of the most divisive elections of all time. And I had an opportunity to speak on behalf of the Biden and Harris campaign. A couple of months back, I got the email from the White House. I turned it down. I don't want to go into all the reasons that I turned it down, but I will say that as a public figure and as a content creator, it's difficult for us because we make our living being in the public eye, being scrutinized. And sometimes you have to make a decision where you take into account your community, but you also have to take into account your potential career opportunities or finances. You know, like, am I going to take this bag to, speak on behalf of X, Y, and Z or whatever? I was not offered any money. I'll just say that because I believe in being transparent. But I was offered an opportunity to speak on behalf of the Biden and Harris campaign, which I turned down. I didn't feel like I knew too much about politics. I try and stay out of, knowing about the granular details, because politics is not good for my mental or emotional health. But I do have to keep myself educated as somebody who still sees patients, and as a mental health provider, you should know something because you're going to have patients from all walks of life. So the same way that you provide care to a trans man is different from how you would provide care to a lady who is worried about reproductive rights, which is different from how you would provide care to a young, black teenager, a black male who's going through his first psychotic break. So you have to know how to interact with all different types of people and how to still provide and know how to provide excellent care. But I didn't feel like I knew. I just didn't feel like I had the knowledge to, speak on behalf of the current administration. And on top of that, I didn't want to co-sign. There's a lot going on in the world. I didn't want to co-sign everything that was going on, and I wanted to just keep my platform neutral and not take a side. Which my family has some thoughts and opinions about. We're, as a family, we're lifelong Democrats. So me not wanting to speak out, I don't think it made my parents too happy. But to endorse somebody publicly, I don't think I'll ever endorse a candidate ever. It's just not my thing. I'm for the people. I can't see myself endorsing a candidate publicly ever, but I may eat my words one day. But yeah, I didn't, just within my heart, within my soul, I didn't feel like it'd be authentic to speak out on behalf of the current administration with the re-election efforts. So I said, I'm just going to sit back and, encourage people to go out and vote. And the people have spoken. They have picked the next president. And when somebody gets admitted to a psychiatric hospital, or when I are around in the ED or the ER, and I'm talking to patients, and it's clear that they have to go to a psych hospital. Maybe they, try to overdose on some pills, or maybe they cut themselves. Sometimes that admission to the psych hospital is coming. It's like a 72-hour hold, and at some point, all right, like we got to go inpatient. I always tell every patient when they go to the psych hospital, I say, hey, the sooner we can get you to the inpatient side so you can start this inpatient hospitalization, the faster we can get you out. Because on day one of admission, we start discharge planning. So the day that you get into the psychiatric hospital is also the day that they're supposed to start planning for how you're going to get out. I say all that to say that we have our result now. And if possible, we shouldn't wait to start the healing process. We know who the president-elect is going to be. CNN, how long have I been talking for? 11 minutes. It's still saying Harris 205, Trump 266, and it's 354 on the East Coast. The writing is on the wall. We know what's going to happen. And the acceptance of the situation for the people for the half of the country who is upset right now, accepting the situation for what it is and beginning the work to start healing as a nation, I think is imperative. It's very difficult when you're sitting there with an emotion that's uncomfortable to process anything. So you might take a day, you might take a week, however long it takes you, is fine. Can't judge yourself. Can't be too hard on yourself. Cannot be too hard on yourself. And I don't know why Kamala didn't win. I'm not sure. I will say that when you are advocating for certain groups of people, it becomes difficult to catch everybody. So I'm for gay rights, I'm for trans rights, I'm for women's reproductive rights, I'm for all these things. But when you want to do all these things, you still have to keep in mind that there's certain groups of people who feel ignored. One reason that I think, Trump is president is because there's a growing number of men who have been ignored. The suicide rates for men is going through the roof. Men, the ways that men, I hope YouTube will let me talk about this, YouTube and Facebook, but the methods in which men use to harm themselves are more lethal. So when a lady attempts, she could survive. Normally when a guy attempts, that's it. Men, die by this method at far higher rates than women, at least 4 times as much. Older white men, that's the demographic that is most susceptible to suicide. And I'm a minority, so I love when people are championing and they're speaking up for minority rights and things of that nature. But when you focus on one group for too long and you forget about the people over here, and once again, I'm not saying this is intentional, it's really difficult to catch every single person. But when you're focused on the people over here because they've been ignored and disenfranchised for so long, and you forget about the demographic of older white males who have the highest suicide risk of any demographic, and that's going to be a problem. They and the rest of the country have clearly spoken. And once again, I don't think that this is intentional. When somebody has a different thought process and perspective from you, I think it's helpful to assume positive intent. It sounds kind of productive in today's political climate. If you're on one side, if you're on the left, you think the other side's evil. If you're on the right, you think the other side's evil. But assuming positive intent, I think is something that can help us, go a long way and make a lot of progress, especially when it comes to understanding one another. And that's one thing I've learned as a mental health advocate, not just as a provider, but as an advocate, because you want to make sure that everybody feels heard and seen. And it sounds almost impossible to speak up for everybody, but it's possible. You know, promoting minority rights doesn't mean that we can't look out for older white males who feel like they don't have a voice. And these are conversations that people have had with me. I've talked to patients. You know, like I feel like I've had a good pulse on this, on people's thoughts and feelings for the past couple of months. I cannot say that I'm surprised by the election results, because when you really talk to people and you see what's going on, and the male mental health crisis is not the only thing, but that's a big thing. And the male mental health crisis spills over into, you know, men's interpersonal interactions with women. I got a text. Oh, I got a text from my comedy buddies. Why is he writing at 1 a.m.? Okay. But yeah, the male mental health crisis, if men are not okay, and for the purpose of simplification, I'm speaking in heteronormative language, just to make this example. But if men are not okay, that's going to impact their interactions with women. This is going to impact marriages. It's going to impact business relationships. It's going to impact friendships. The most important relationship is the one that you have with yourself. But if you're not all right within, it's going to spill over into your interactions with other people. So the male mental health crisis is a thing, and we need solutions. And the first step is to start by talking about it. But it's not certainly about just men, because women's issues are important too. And like I said, it's very difficult to, you know, focus on that without forgetting that the guys are over here as well. So it's been an interesting day. I'm not gonna lie, it's been an interesting past couple of weeks. It's been exhausting. I won't lie to y'all. It's been frustrating. I'm happy that the election is over. I hope we can get to the point where we can forgive each other, love each other, and start to heal. And I watched, you know, President-elect Trump speak to his people at West Palm Beach about an hour ago. He appears to be more, I don't have the adjective, but it feels different from 2016, I'll say that. He's not as, why am I getting these texts at 1 a.m.? Mickey Ficky. He's not as, I think he's a bit more subdued. And who am I to speak on how authentic somebody's being, or I'm not sure. But all I know is that I said a couple months ago, regardless of who the president is, as a country, I think we should come together, support that individual, and I don't ever make political videos. So for this video to come out, people are gonna say, you know, say what you want to say. Say what you want to say in the comment section. I don't foresee myself making another political video for a long time, because this is not my area of expertise. It's not an area that interests me that much. I used to love social studies as a kid, but politics became way too divisive. But yeah, use the comment section to sound off. If anything, apathy is the one emotion that I would caution people against. It's cathartic to get it out. Whatever you're feeling, anger, frustration, rage, elation, jubilation. If you feel excitement, get that out. These are all healthy things to get out. What you don't want is apathy. Just overall flat affect. We don't want that. It's important to get exactly what you're feeling in your body, get it out. Just like I just took that deep breath. Get it out. So the writing's on the wall. Donald Trump is president, we're going to be okay as a nation. I promise you, we're going to be good. We are going to be good. And as we come together, it'll be much more easier to get things done. But congratulations to Kamala Harris on a job well done with her campaign. Like I said, thank you to the Biden and Harris administration for allowing me to be a part of the White House Roundtable for the past 2 years. After I declined to speak on behalf of the Biden and Harris campaign, I didn't get invited to any other meetups at the White House. I did not take it personally. I understand it. And congratulations to Donald Trump on winning. My words are, it's still legitimate. I support whoever is in office, and I'm grateful to be in America. As somebody who's from West Africa, Ghana, these opportunities would not have been afforded to me in my home country. Out here, I'm able to use the internet to connect with all these amazing people. I'm able to make TikToks and Facebook Reels and IG Reels, and I can educate people about ADHD, autism, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, things that took me years to learn in school. I can teach it to somebody in 7 seconds, 10 seconds, 1 minute skits, because of everything that I've, been able to achieve because of the opportunities that have been given to me by living in this country. So I'm nothing but grateful, and I know that we're going to be okay. And the last thing I want to say is I want to go back to, what was it, the 2000 election? Gore, Bush. That was my first election as an American. I was like 7, 8 years old. We were living in Nashville, Tennessee. We had moved from Norway. We're from Ghana, but we lived in Norway for a couple of years. It's a long story. The point is, the Gore and Bush election was my first experience with American elections. If you're all OGs like me, you know what happened. This thing went down to the wire. It went down to Florida. And then we had the whole too close to call thing. Just weird election. Al Gore lost Tennessee. He was from Tennessee. And I was living in Tennessee, so it didn't make sense to us. The Titans had lost the Super Bowl, earlier that year. It was just an interesting time. But what I remember from that election is that the country was divided. People were hurt because, if my memory serves me correctly, Al Gore won the popular vote, but George Bush won the Electoral College. So Gore had more votes, but Bush won the election. And my 8-year-old brain couldn't compute it. It didn't make sense to me. So the country we were split right down the middle. And you could feel the thickness, the discomfort. You could feel the rage, the confusion. You could feel it in the air. The next day when I went to school, like Republicans were here and Democrats were here. I remember it like it was yesterday. Elementary school, Nashville, Tennessee. I think I was in Miss Craig's 3rd grade class. And I remember thinking that Republicans were evil back then. But it was a very confusing time for us as a country because, like I said, I think that was the first time in a long time that somebody had lost the election while having more votes. But I say all that to say that a couple months later, January 2001, George Bush gets sworn in. We have the inauguration. People are still upset, but the other half of people are extremely happy. Fast forward 9 months later, planes go into the World Tower. The plane goes into the Pentagon. 9/11 happens. an absolute tragedy is on our hands. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's devastated. It really felt like the world was ending. It was a Tuesday. I was in 4th grade at Kings Lane Elementary School in Nashville, Tennessee. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was the last kid. I was the last kid to be picked up from school. I remember calling my mom. I'm like, "Hey mom, you gotta come pick me up. It's an emergency. Like the plane's crashing to the World Trade Center." My mom starts to drive. I'm already the last kid. and my mom calls the school back, and I pick up the phone. And I'm talking to my mom, and she's like, "Where did the planes crash?" I said, "Mom, New York City." She said, "Oh, okay. If it's New York, all right, then you'll be fine. It's not in Tennessee." And she started to drive home. I said, "Mom, no, you gotta come back and you gotta pick me up. I'm the last kid in the school. This is a national tragedy." And my immigrant parents didn't understand what was going on until we really got home and we realized that the country was under attack. And that's probably the scariest moment that I've had in my adult life, honestly. September 11, 2001. COVID is close, but 9/11 was pretty damn bad. But the one thing that I'll never forget about 9/11 is the image of George Bush being in that classroom. Somebody comes and they whisper in his ear to let him know what had happened. And he came out and he addressed the nation. And when George Bush addressed the nation, he wasn't the president for Republicans. And he wasn't the president for Democrats. He was the president of the United States of America. And we all came together. And that was the most united that we've ever been. I have goosebumps right now because I remember the Mets game when MLB got back into the swing of things. We were all united. We like to wait as a country for tragedy to happen for us to come together. We've been through 9/11. We've been through COVID. Bad things happen, so there will be bad things that happen in the future. You can set your watch. It's just a part of life. But I say all this to say that don't wait for tragedy to come before you love your fellow human. Don't wait for tragedy to come before you love the person who doesn't think the way you think. The person who doesn't look the way you look. The person who has more money than you, has less money than you. We don't have to wait. I think now is as good a time as ever to start the healing process. So I think that's enough. That's enough said on that. So, social media, there's going to be some think pieces out there. People are going to say, "Oh, the end of the world is upon us." We're going to be fine. You and me, we are going to be okay. At the end of the day, just remember, we're all Americans. We're all in this together. Not that, we like each other all the time and, we're going to see eye to eye. We're not. We can be realistic about this. We're not always going to agree. But the one thing that is 100% fact is that we are going to need each other. I need you just as much as you need me. So we have our election results. I think that's this is the most I've ever spoken in politics, and we'll keep it like that. I want to return back to mental health content and comedy content and giving my followers what they come to this channel for. So no more politics talk. But I just felt compelled to say this. It's pretty late. It's time for me to get some Rice Krispies, brush my teeth, put my retainers in, and call it a night. But if you've made this far in the video, I just want to say thank you so much for your attention. I'm not sure who you are, but I love you, and you are my fellow American, and we're gonna be okay. So until the next time, I see y'all, because it's gonna be a while before I make a political video. But until the next time, I just want to say thank you for your attention. Thank you for being my fellow American, and congratulations to Kamala Harris on a hard-fought campaign. Thank you to President Joe Biden, because I think he's still our president. Thank you to him for all of his efforts to do for our country. I don't think he had bad intentions. And also, I'm grateful for the chance to be a part of the White House Roundtable. And then moving to the other side, congratulations to Donald Trump on the victory. And we as a country, it might take us a while. We will come together, and we're going to be okay. So, till next time, y'all take care. I love y'all.